So the next thing that I mentioned was that I was going to go back before I continue with my stepped offsets and start editing that feature line as I go. That's just my personal preference. After you watch these videos, if you want to do it differently, that's okay. It's really going to be up to you. But at this point, if you can follow along with me, that way you don't get lost on this video instruction. So at this point, you can kind of see that this feature line here is the curve offset from this top of curve. This one is from this top of curve, which we did in the previous video. So the problem is that we now have two feature lines that are essentially overlapping themselves. So we need to do a little bit of editing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to grading, edit feature line geometry, and you're going to use in this case, I want to use the break command. We'll start with that one. So I'm going to use the break command, but again, this is specifically for feature lines. You can't just use the regular AutoCAD break, it won't work. This is specifically for feature lines. So you do have to use the edit feature line geometry break option or any of these options if you want to. So I'm going to go over here and break, and it's going to break from the point where I select the feature line from. So from this point, I'm going to select it there, and then it's going to break it up to this point. So I really can't see a whole lot that happened except that now this feature line is broken. So there's actually a little section of feature line up in here. And then we still have this one. Okay. So at this point, what I can do, I can actually trim it if I want to, but I'll use that in the next few steps. But just to show you the different commands, I'm going to go to break. And now I'm going to break this feature line from the point that I selected from here, up to this endpoint. So now you see that we have a little gap in there. So we'll have the two feature lines, this first one, let me delete that one, and then this other one that were leftovers from these two. We still have two separate feature lines. So at this point, I'm going to go back to grading, geometry, and I'm going to join. And I'm going to join this feature line with this one. Enter. So now you can see that we have one feature line, and then I can continue. Well, actually, before that, I'm going to stop and come back to this section here. This, I also want to cover it with a feature line here. I want to make sure that the feature lines have a nice, a logical endpoint. I'm going to go to draw feature line. So I'm just going to draw a feature line here, so I can just simply draw in this feature line. Use my current layer. So I'm going to do it. I'll start this endpoint. Again, make sure that it does pick up an elevation. It confirms the elevation. If you ever see 0 here, that's something's wrong. You got to be really careful and make sure that that's not happening. Also, remember, you can also look at the z coordinate value down here and make sure that it's finding the actual elevation. So right now, it seems like it does find an elevation, 3802.5889. Select it. And it tells us that it's a grade from here to here of 0. So that's correct. It does make sense. Enter. And then I'm going to go to this point here and find another elevation. I can see that because it's on my z coordinate value. Once again, if you see something like this, for example, I think I just did it right now. It showed us 0. So I'm not sure how I did it, but yeah, if it shows you 0, you need to hit tab or do something to make sure it does not find a 0. That's not a good thing. Okay, there we go. So that's not correct. So I guess I'll remove and keep going again and find another point to where it actually finds it. Right, and I'm just moving the mouse around. Right there. Okay, and it does make sense. Very good. So I really should join that one. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Join this feature line with that feature line. I'm going to stop there at that point. So I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to draw myself another feature line from this endpoint right in here. Again, I found an elevation to this endpoint there. It did find a grade here of 1.21. It makes sense. It sounds correct. It's coming up slowly. That's good. And then I'm going to now show you how to use one of the other commands, specifically the trim command. It works just like the AutoCAD command, where you select the trim edges, this one here, enter, and then you select the lines that you're going to trim, which is this one and this one. Okay. And if you don't want to lose track, you can go ahead and start and join this feature line with this one and this one. Okay. So you can kind of see that we're now forming a feature line all the way around the perimeter of the building. Okay. So let me go ahead and keep going. Stepped offsets, and I'm going to do a stepped offset of 2 feet for the building to the outside with an elevation difference of 0. And I'll continue on the next video.